Chapter 1 of A Christmas When the West Was Young. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by David Wales. A Christmas When the West Was Young by Cyrus Townsend Brady. Chapter 1, Love and Welcome. The rude log hut stood on the brow of the low, tree-covered hill. A brook lined with undergrowth along its banks ran at its base. The sturdy arms of the young pioneer husband, wielding the axe, had cleared the slope of the elevation which looked across the creek toward the open, rolling prairie. The hillock, though it rose not more than 50 feet above the undulating surface, reminded them a little of New England, and the two young people had turned to it instinctively so soon as they had seen it. They had been born in the hills, and loved even their memory in this flat land. The practical and the beautiful both attracted them. The rich earth around the brook would make a good garden plot. The grass range of the open plain would afford pasture for countless herds of cattle when the buffalo had been driven further westward by the advance of civilization. There were acres upon acres of desirable land, which in his mind's eye the man could see covered with golden wheat or tasseled corn. The wooded hill would make house-building an easy task. So, when the western journey of days and days ended, with a sigh of relief and a prayer of thanksgiving, there they pitched their tent. It was 40 miles from the nearest settlement on the far-flung frontier line, and that settlement itself was yet hundreds of miles from a slowly approaching railroad. Herds of game roamed the prairie, tribes of Indians hunted across it. There was peace among the white men and the red men, however. There was plenty of buffalo, food for all. The horses and cows which had drawn or followed the big wagon across the plains were put to graze. The young wife, daily more indisposed to manual labor, sat on the first fallen log and watched the chips fly. The work of erecting a log cabin was heavy for one man, but this young Yankee was a resourceful lad. With axe and adze he hewed and shaped the logs. He had brought with him block and tackle, and with the aid of overarching branches of trees he swung the squared logs into place. Long poles formed the roof, which was covered with sod, and the unsightliness was hidden inside by the canvas cover of the wagon. The man toiled unceasingly, with furious energy. He had to have a shelter for the woman and the expected baby. Something had to be planted, the ground broken, plowed, sowed for the winter store. Some little time before they had been married, and in the spirit of youth and adventure had left the scrubby, stony, contracted farm of their native state for a departure into the unknown country of distances as illimitable as its possibilities. On the day they struck the tent by the side of the brook and entered the log cabin on the hilltop, they thanked God that they had taken courage and made the effort. It was rude, primitive, without luxury, that frontier cabin of logs, and there was little beauty in it, save the glory which love threw about. But it was reasonably comfortable, and it was home. They had staked out claims homesteaded to the limit of the law, one for each, and a good acreage was in their name. Another claim was to be entered later for the third person who was about to come. For the rest, so far as the eye could see, they were alone save for the birds of the air and the beasts of the field, a new Adam and Eve in a new Eden. This had its greatest disadvantage in the hour of the woman's greatest need, as doubtless it had in primeval days, for then no hand but his, unskilled and nervous, was there to minister to her. But for once the primal curse was lifted a little, for more in joy than in sorrow, to them a child was born, to them a son was given. After that the man worked for two. Literally so, for until she was able to take her place and to do her share, he did the woman's work as well as his own. Fortune smiled upon them. The wheat ripened, the corn grew, the garden by the brook flourished. He brought chickens and a pig from the town. One of the cows calved, a little colt frisked at the heels of its mother. And because the woman had a baby, and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?